Oh, Sean. Oh, man, I can't wait to see what Jaimie has got stewing. Oh, I've got some farts of stewing there. Okay. Not actually. No, I don't. Um, all right. So what am I going to talk about this week? Well, first I'm going to talk about, I have several friends that I know who are having difficulties in life, and it's the same old thing, the usual thing, like not enough money because job this, and can't get the right job to get enough money to get ahead, to blah 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 blah. And my response is always, well, why don't you make up your own job? Just become an entrepreneur. It's just do your own thing. Make up your own job. And I'll go on to explain some of the businesses I've started and some of the crazy ideas I've done, and even some of the things that I never expected to make money doing, like these videos. And I don't make a ton of money doing them, but I make some money on it, and it was just like something I wanted to do for non-monetary reasons. And I'll explain these experiences and share these experiences, hoping to inspire some kind of ideas of what they can do for themselves. But it seems like they keep coming to sticking points. Like there's a mental block. Like I'll get these friends, and this is all separate people, don't know each other. It's all separate conversations, but it always goes the same way. I'll get them to say like, "Oh yeah, that is a good idea, entrepreneurial thing. Doing your own thing." And then they're like, "Okay, what are the choices?" And I'm like, "There are no choices. It's not said you anything you want. You make it up. You just there. Well, yeah, but I can't just make up anything and just be like, well, just I'm just going to make up a business of give me money. I can't just do anything." It's like, no, but you make it up. There are no rules. Like you use your imagination to come up with something. Okay, yeah, I can use my imagination, but what are the choices? And it's like, oh, there are no choices. Like you just come up with something, And this has been going on for years, and I have friends who I just feel bad, and I feel like if only I could get through to them, and oh, mosquito, I think I got it. Maybe I could help them to just, or maybe they could just get out of this hole they're in if they could just change this one little thing and get through this mental block. But then I was thinking about it, why this mental block is there. And it's something that's built up from childhood, basically. Like we're born basically useless, dependent on our parents for everything. And as we start growing, we start to become more independent. We start being able to do more things ourselves. At first you can't do anything, and then you can start feeding yourself and dressing yourself, and kind of taking care of stuff. Your basic everyday brushing your teeth and whatever. But then that process kind of gets halted when you're about like 4 or 5 years old. See, the process shouldn't be halted. The process should continue. You should keep becoming more and more independent and learning more about how to navigate life and how to do whatever you need to do to thrive, not just scrape by, not just survive, but actually thrive, right? And this is something that should go on for another decade, but we go to school. And in school, we learn that our parents, who we've been dependent on all this time, are now replaced by institutions. So you don't actually learn how to become an independent person, how to think for yourself and do for yourself, and take care of yourself, and like deal with the world, deal with life on your own and figure things out. You're not taught to do that. In fact, we're taught not to do that. We're taught that you get a job and you make money, and you get a job at an institution, some kind of institution, and that becomes your new parent. And you're not going to grow up, you're not going to become an adult, you're going to stay a child permanently, and you will always rely on these institutions. So that when you grow up and you need a job, you go to these institutions and you start giving them papers and resumes and begging them for jobs and saying, please, parent, please help me. But the thing is, you don't need a job. What you need is food and shelter and all the things to first you need the basic things to survive, right? And then you need things like personal relationships and things that make life worth living, right? This like just the idea that I need a job and I need money. That's been hammered into us over and over in school for decades, to the point where people think that the solution to all problems is money and a job. But number one is money, but you get the money. If you're not super lucky, you have to work a job and then you get the money and then everything's better. And like millions of people are miserable doing this. And it puts you in a position where you are completely dependent on these institutions to keep feeding you this money. And you have to do these things that you would not normally do. And this is one of the keys to life, I think, in dealing with money and figuring out what money is and how it works and how it affects your life and all this, and how to deal with the existence of money. One of the most important things is to look at your life and say, would I be doing this if I wasn't being paid? And if like most of the stuff you're doing in your life, you're only doing because you're being paid, that's just really sad. It's just really sad, you know? It's like you've just become this slave who's just doing what you don't want to do. Because if you take the money away, you're just doing things you don't want to do. You're only doing it because the money's there. But if the money wasn't there and you just look at what's happening, it's like you're just running this treadmill endlessly, doing things you don't want to do, so that one day you can retire and do whatever you want when you're too old to enjoy it, right? So it's like we've got this whole civilization that has been convinced to not grow up. And the only time people grow up, and I can tell you this from myself, the only time people actually grow up is when they get in a difficult enough situation that they are forced to realize that they can't rely on those institutions or those governments, those businesses, those corporations, all that stuff. You can't rely on that. That's not going to save you. You got to take care of yourself. And I realized this kind of like at the beginning of university. And I stuck it out and I finished university, although I didn't really attend classes or whatever. I did finish. But you need a drink? All right, there. I gotta shine my light for my daughter to go get a drink. Anyway, there was some point when I was doing university, right at the beginning, where I was like, this is not going well. This is not going to be any kind of life I want to do. None of this leads anywhere good. So I just started feeling like I had to do things for myself. So I started making little businesses when I was at school. And then when I graduated from school, and it's basically like, okay, go out into the world and do your thing. I already knew I could not stomach any of the jobs that I'd been set up to be able to do by this university education, basically the paper that says I'll do whatever I'm told. Are you done? Okay. Oh. So I got to a situation where I didn't really have a choice. I had to figure it out myself. And the funny thing is, once I started making up my own businesses, just deciding that I had to do everything myself and I couldn't rely on institutions for anything, I got to a point very quickly where I couldn't see myself doing anything else. And that's the thing about becoming an entrepreneur. once you start doing it, once you start relying on yourself for your own livelihood and for the things that will make you thrive in life, once you start relying on yourself, you realize that everything before, all this stuff about relying on these institutions, all it was forcing you to stay a child as long as they could make you. Because as long as you stay a child, you're controllable. You'll do whatever you're told. You'll buy the thing, and you'll waste the money, and you'll waste your time for people, and you do whatever people say because you're not responsible for anything because you're being a child. But once you actually break through that mental block that's been like hammered into our heads, and really start doing things for yourself and really relying on yourself, there's no going back. I mean, I couldn't imagine working for some business, sitting in some cubicle or doing something that I wouldn't want to do unless I was being paid. Yeah, I'm not saying there are no things that I would ever want to do. Yeah, there might be some things, but just knowing that even if I have a job, I can always fall back on myself. Even if I get a job somewhere doing, like, I don't know, it doesn't matter, like logging or something. And I don't know why I came up with that. It's because I've been cutting a lot of wood lately. But anyway, if I get some job logging, I would never rely on that job. I always know that this is temporary. I'm only here as long as this business wants me, and I'll take advantage of what they're offering. I'll save the money, help to get ahead or whatever. But I know that at any point in time, that could disappear, or I could decide that I can't stomach what they're doing because there's something immoral or whatever. And being able to let go of that makes it so you're not trapped. Because a lot of people, even when they get into a job, they'll get into a job they hate, and they feel like they can't do anything else. Because if they lose that job, it's like, I'm screwed. If I lose this job, I'm barely scraping by. But the thing is, if you're in a situation where you're barely scraping by, that's not valuable. You shouldn't be holding on to that. You should be trying to figure out something else. And figuring out any kind of business or thing that you can do for yourself is something I would highly recommend to anyone who's never done it. Because it's an experience that changed. People say this horrible cliched thing of, it's a game changer. Oh, I hate when people say that. But this is one of those things that literally is a game changer. It changes the game. It changes the rules. Because once you stop relying on those institutions and being dependent completely on all those institutions, suddenly a lot of rules disappear. Like a ton of rules just disappear. And you're open to do so many more things that you couldn't do before. And the difficult part about it is that succeed or fail, it's your fault. Which is something that I don't know. It's like something that we're trained from a very young age to not want to be in that position where we're responsible for something. But you should be responsible for that. You should be responsible for yourself. You should be able to take on challenges and take risks and say, this is my decision, regardless of what anyone else thinks. I want to give this a try and see how it goes. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, but that's it. You need to be fine with that. If you're not willing to accept your own failure, you're incredibly limited in what you can do. You can only do things where you'll succeed. And that brings you back to the institutions. Hide behind mommy's skirt and hide in the institution. Make sure you get a regular paycheck and all that, and you can't fail. As long as you show up, you punch your time card, you've succeeded. And it's no way to live. It's just going around in a circle over and over and over. To actually take charge of your own life and to actually grow up and become an adult, like a real adult, not just an old person, but like a real adult who's responsible for themselves and self-sufficient and can handle things and can deal with the world and can deal with people and can solve problems and like to become the kind of person where the buck stops here. I don't pass things on to anyone else. Like this is where it stops. I take care of it. to become that person, you have to be able to take the risk of failure. And if you can't do that, you can't grow up. You got to be able to risk failure to grow up and to learn and to become a more amazing person. And it's a really difficult message to explain to people. But anyway, I just tried to say it here. So you want to know what else is going on? Like just things that are going on around here? I'm itchy. Why am I itchy? It's because right here I'm itchy. My ears were also itchy earlier, but I washed them really good with this scrubby soap. Oh. So I'm digging up behind my house an area, and it's near a mango tree. And mango trees are related to poison ivy. Now the mango tree is not nearly as bad as poison ivy, but it's unpleasant, you know. I mean, it's like maybe 5%, maybe 10% as bad as poison ivy. But yeah, if you're digging in a spot where there's mango tree roots, there's going to be mango tree sap. And, you know, if you pick up blocks of dirt or anything, it gets on your hands. And then if you brush a bug off your ear, then your ear is going to be itchy for the next 3 days until you scrub it really good and get the stuff on. Anyway, itchy right here. Yeah. Anyway. I've also started building my second floor, and if there was light out, I would show you, but it's all dark, and I'm making videos of all this stuff. Don't worry. But today I started cutting wood on my lumber mill. So I've been over the last few weeks, like a couple days a week. I'll go out to the jungle and use my chainsaw to cut some boards. You know, I've made some videos about this, but I'm just cutting like slabs of wood. So they're one thickness here, but the width is not defined. It's just like as wide as I can make it. And then I've carried a bunch of them over here, maybe a quarter of what I've cut. So it's a lot of wood, but there's still a lot left. But I've been piling it up in my house. And today the sun came out, and for about an hour I had blazing sun, which means I can run my lumber mill. And I started carrying boards up there. So do I call them boards if they're not really cut to width yet? Anyway, boards, I took boards up there and cut them to widths, either 8 inches or 6 inches, otherwise known as imperial noodle units. And I built the first section of my second floor without the floorboards on it. I'm pretty excited about that though. I was standing up there and man, the view was amazing. You know, the view is just looking down on all the clutter of my house, of all this stuff that's going to go up on the second and the third floors. But still, the view was amazing. Oh, it's going to be so good to get a few of those sections up. Like even just like a quarter of the second floor up, I'll be able to take some of the stuff from down here and put it up. So that'll be great. Also, I've been playing with my 3D printer a lot. This is the latest thing I've been working on, which is Lego tank treads. Because, you know, Lego has tank treads and they're kind of cool, but they break easily and they come apart. And, you know, anyone who's played with Lego a lot and who's used the tank treads know they come apart easily. And I would always wonder, why don't they just make them better? And so I took all the ideas that I had when I was a kid, and hold on, I'm trying to look at this to figure out which way it opens. Oh yeah. So these are very strong. They're super strong, and they're like pretty rigid. Like it's a strong thing. But you can open them if you turn it at 90 degrees. And then, wait, which direction was it? This direction. Yeah, you turn them at 90 degrees to each other and they come apart pretty easily. And then go back together. And then once they're not at 90 degrees, man, those things are solid. And I still have to print out the wheels. But you know, I'm going to put all this stuff on Thingiverse. I've been putting things up on Thingiverse. What was it? The other day I put up a little wind-up motor, Lego motor thing, and yeah, it's just super cool to have a 3D printer that it's so good. I'm so impressed with this 3D printer. It's a Sovol SV06, and I have no affiliation with the company. They didn't send me a free one or anything. I bought it. I'm just super impressed with it. So if anyone wants a 3D printer, I highly recommend a Sovol SV06. It was only $200 too. Man, I'm starting to wonder what like the $1,500 ones do. Like what the hell are they doing? They must be amazing if this $200 one is this good. What else is happening? Yeah, I guess that's mostly it. Carrying all that wood out of the jungle, that was a lot of work. I can carry one board out of the jungle every 15 or 20 minutes on average. And that's partly because the tide has been really low during the day, so I can't get my boat right in, so I have to carry them a little further. But it's like, it's like a quarter mile, even from the good parking spot to where I cut the boards. And they're heavy. It's like, yeah, if I carry, well, one day I carried 14 boards out of there, and it was about 500 meters walk each way. So that's like 7 kilometers. So yeah, imagine like piggybacking someone for like 7 kilometers, because the boards are like 1 to 200 pounds, depending on that. There were a few that were 200 pounds. Man, those ones are hard to move. But yeah, imagine piggybacking someone for 7 kilometers, and then you got to walk back 7 kilometers too. It's a lot of work. Anyway, all right, let's see what you guys are talking about. I've been rambling on long enough here. Oh man, I can't. Oh, and for anyone who's new here, who doesn't know how this works, usually when I do these lives, I'll do some kind of monologue and talk a little bit about what's going on, and that usually takes like 15 or 20 minutes, and that's enough time for some comments to pile up a little, and then I start reading through them. So at the beginning, I'm always like 20 minutes behind on the comments, but then at some point, like an hour later, or two, I'll catch up to the comments, and then that's kind of when I'm finished, basically. So let's see what the comments are doing. Hello. Hey, bud, wishing you the very best. Thanks, man. Yo, Jaimie. Hello, guys. Hello to everyone. Late to the party. Greenhouses are ready, baby. Wait, what? Greenhouses are ready, baby? What greenhouses? I strapped 2 kayaks together with PVC today. Kayak-a-maran. Dude, that's great. Stewing on the education system, I see. Is there pressure to send your kids to school? Why are you frustrated about this today? I didn't say I was frustrated about it. This is something that actually happens a lot. Like, I'll talk about something in a video, and people will say, "Why are you so upset about this? Why is this so frustrating for you right now? What happened?" Nothing happened. It's just something to talk about, because it's a problem. There's nothing particular happened. It's just, well, I guess what happened is, and this didn't even happen today or anything. It's just something that's been going on for a long time. Is I have friends who are stuck in this mindset that they have to rely on institutions to get a job and money and blah blah blah. But yeah, nothing has happened. My kids are not being. I'm not being in any way pressured to send them to schools or anything. Oh yeah, and I'm late today because it's a bit of a chain effect of an airplane landing late in town. I wasn't in town or anything, but there was just a chain reaction, and a whole bunch of things happened that ended up being later than they were originally, and blah blah blah. And we ended up eating dinner after dark here, which isn't that unusual, but it was a while after dark. Anyway. Mr. Landfill sending out my links to my website and my Thingiverse. So very good, very good. Yeah, I'll put my Lego tank tracks on Thingiverse after I draw some wheels to go in this, and yeah, and make some cool stuff and make sure it works and everything. I kind of want to put the tank treads on my little wind-up car and see if I can get it kind of driving along wind-up style. It's kind of hard to make a wind-up motor, a good wind-up motor, out of plastic, because usually wind-up motors, they have like a steel spring, and the steel is real thin, So you can have it wound around a lot of times, so you can crank it a lot. But with a plastic spring, it's thicker, so it takes up a lot more space. So you can't get nearly as many winds. Anyway, let's see. Send me an email. I found you from that show on TV in the UK. Jack Fisher says, completely agree. Sitting in a cubicle sounds like torture to me. I much prefer manual labor and self-employment. Yeah, man. And I keep trying to explain this to my friends who are having difficulties and they're stuck. Like, once you figure out how to make your own job, how to be an entrepreneur, how to do it yourself, it's just, life is a completely different thing. It's like, yes, you are taking on the risks, but you also gain all the freedom. So you get so much more say in the direction of your life. Whereas if you're just working for money, doing whatever, you have to do whatever they say. 3 stories of stuff all on the first floor. Yeah. Love Lego tank treads. Thanks, man. What if you make a jig with 1 bike wheel? You could roll your board easier. Oh, if I make a jig with 1 bike wheel, I could roll my board easier. Like, to get the boards out of the jungle. Well, the tricky thing is it's not on even ground at all. So what I've been doing, and I do want to make a path into there at some point, like a concrete kind of sidewalk, little road thing. But right now it is not there. So, and there are big logs on the path that I have to step over that I just don't have the time to cut out because I just need to I'm busy, man. So what I've been doing is I'll stand a log straight up and stand in front of it and just get it on my back and then lean forward until I get it off the ground and then just start walking like that. And it's, it's not the most comfortable, but I found this kind of foam thing that I put on the back of my, like the top of my back here, for it to rest on there. So it's not like pushing on my neck so much. And that works well. It's tiring. I did also make a really simple thing that's just like an axle with a big pair of wheels on the ends, with bearings and everything. So I can strap a board onto the axle and then grab the other end of the board and, pull it along. But I took it with me on the boat and I was like, all right, if I get a board that's too heavy for me to move, I'll put it on the wheels. But I managed to move the heaviest boards. It was not easy, but I did. And the thing is, with the wheels, as I was walking back and forth on the path, I kept thinking, okay, when I get to this part with the wheels, I'm gonna have to stop and lift everything over that. Then when I get to this part, it's gonna be an uphill, and I might just have to pick up the thing anyway because it's pretty steep uphill, And I was just like, let me just carry this stuff. But at some point in the future, I do want to have like a nice path where I can put something on wheels and wheel heavy things in and out, which will be great. That'll be a huge boost to productivity. But yeah, right now I just really want to get the second floor done. So I'm putting all of that stuff aside and just going straight to the second floor. New floor, second level, outstanding, great moving forward, awesome job. Well, thank you. What's that, A2Z? Oh, nice. Will all floors be complete, or will you be able to see all the way down from upper floors? Well, the floors will be complete, but you mean, will they cover the whole thing? The second floor is just going to be around the outside. There's going to be a big hole in the middle. And then the third floor will be solid floor all the way across. And I think I want to have it so when you're up on the third floor, it is actually solid floor the whole way across. So all the entries up to the third floor, I want to have, doors that open in the floor. So you can go up there, close the doors, and when everything's closed, you've just got solid floor, big open solid floor. No pillars in the middle or anything because it's got a dome roof, so it doesn't need supports in the middle. That's going to be cool. There's going to be lots of frisbee, I think, and basketball and volleyball and things like that. Sean McGuire is a big fan of being your own boss. Yeah, once you are your own boss, it's hard to imagine letting anyone else be your boss after that. Once you figure it out, and it really is like it's like growing up. It's like becoming an adult, and then to go back to working for someone else, it would, like, at this point, to me, it would feel like I was just becoming a child. Now I'm not enough of an adult to manage my own life. I have to do what you say. Okay. Yeah. Once you get hold of your own life and you start figuring out, there's no way to go back. You can't go back because it's too good compared to the other alternative. I noticed. Yeah, so I was on this TV show a while ago. I didn't think it was very good, and there was a lot of what's the word? Kind of like passive aggressiveness, and I don't know. Someone was just asking me something about something. I don't feel like getting into it. Arcs Mechanica, what's going on, man? Hey there, good to see you. Wow, I'm already at the end of comments. That usually doesn't happen this quickly. Maybe it's because my my live today was super late and everyone went to bed. But yeah, if anyone has any questions or comments or anything you think I should talk about, put a comment down here. Otherwise, in a minute, I'm gonna take off and go see what my kids are doing. I left them watching a movie while I came and did this. I'm pretty sure it's not over yet. Oh, you know what? Let me reload the chat just to see if I missed anything. Okay, no, looks like I'm at the end of comments, and no one else has anything important to say right now, so I'm gonna take off. And I hope everyone has an excellent evening or morning or whatever you have wherever you are. And yeah, I'm looking forward to working on my second floor more tomorrow. Mr. Landfill, be safe. Jack, have a good one. You too, man. All right, I'm out of here. Here's the button. Oh, they put it on the other side. Yep. Later, Mike.